Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Danette's Kitchen. If it's your first time joining me, thank you for joining me. Um, Please feel free to subscribe, like if you enjoy the content of the video, give comments in the comment section of things that you would like to see, things that you agree with, disagree with, your own personal experiences related to what we're talking about, and share with those that you think may be interested. It's December 12th, 2021. Excuse the noise in the background. It's my neighbors. I do live in a brownstone association condo, so sometimes there is the background noise of people. Um, it's cold outside. We got snow. We had a weather advisory the other day, and a lot of people did not move their vehicles. And where I live, if people don't move their vehicles, they will get ticketed because you either have to, when it's a weather advisory or storm advisory, we have to move to either one side of the street or the other side, depending on if they're declaring it to be for the odd side or the even side of the street. And the people that are parked on the wrong side of the street will get a ticket, and if they continue to remain there, they will be towed. And as we all know, getting ticketed and towed is not a cheap thing in any city. And I'm sorry for the clicking noise in the background, but clearly that's because of the temperatures outside. My radiator is cranking up a little bit more. But despite the weather on the outside, I'm going to be doing some indoor gardening. I don't do it perpetually all year long, but I do it as needed. And I use the Veg Box brand, so I have two Veg Box containers that I'll be using. It's my own personal preference. There's lots of other kinds that you can get online. Um, I ordered mine through Amazon. You can get a lot of things through Amazon. You can go to stores and buy brands, Arrow Garden or whatever. And I'm not getting paid by any of those folks. I'm just letting you know that there are lots of options out there. But you can also do some bucket gardening or other hydroponic systems. The Veg Box is a hydroponic gardening system that is relatively simple to have and put together because it comes with its own light source. Living in an apartment or a condo or some dwelling where you may not get access to the best sunlight, um, this works. It works wherever you live. If you're gardening outdoors, you're kind of reliant upon how the weather is going to be and the temperatures. You're going to be dealing with the bugs. You'll be dealing with the soil and possible vermin or critters that's going to come and get a snack off of whatever it is that you're trying to grow. But doing this indoors, I have a little bit more control over things. Like I said, it does have its light source. I'm setting it up while I'm talking to you, so I hope that's okay. I have two of them. I have the large veg box and the small veg box, both which could be purchased for less than $100. But what's available right now, I don't know. But they were available through Amazon, and I got them pretty quickly. I'm adding water to this smaller one first, and I will show you how it's looking after it's set up. But I chose to do the indoor hydroponic gardening because, like I said, I live in a brownstone building. It's condo association, very much like an apartment, pretty much the same thing except you own it instead of paying rent, you're actually paying to own this place that you're in. So, and also because the soil around my building is not really conducive for growing plants. Um, when I moved in, I met with the other people in the association. We had someone from the University of Minnesota come out and test the soil. Um, and it turned out that soil isn't very healthy. Oops, sorry about that. Here I go again. Let me put this box down. The soil isn't very healthy in the area that I live in. So it's you can put flowers that look pretty, but it's not good for anything anyone would want to eat. And it was a similar issue in another area that I used to live in here in South Minneapolis, but in in South Minneapolis and also when I lived out in the St. Louis Park area. There are some areas where the soil is somewhat contaminated and you can plant pretty things, but you don't want to eat anything that comes out of that soil because it can really be hazardous to your health. And I suppose it's a long process to cleaning up that soil to make it where it is in a place where it's good enough for someone to grow things that they can eat. That's what I would suppose, but I don't know everything. So playing it safe and still wanting to be able to have fresh produce in the winter because that's really important to me, I just decided to do the hydroponic gardening. And I, researched it online and I've talked to people at the farmer's market. This is my larger veg box, so I've got the smaller and the larger. Um, and talked to people at the farmer's market about the whole process and some of the farmers at the farmers market would do their hydroponic gardening using fish tanks. So they had this whole elaborate system that they hooked up with one fish tank over another fish tank, fish in one part, fish in another part, PVC pipes that were connected to it some kind of way, and the plants received nutrients from the feces that came out of the fish, and that's what helped them to grow through the top of the PCV pipes. But again, I'm not a pro at that sort of thing, and so that was a little bit confusing for me. It was really neat to look at and very elaborate, and I'm sure it took them a lot of time to pack all that up to take to the market so people can see about hydroponic gardening. But I don't have those kind of skills. I'm more on the beginner level. So this type of gardening works very well for people that are beginners like me. Just putting water into my other container. I do my water first so that it's in there. It can have some time to set and totally become acquainted to the temperatures in the room because both of these will remain here in my living room. I have two of those TV trays that have the cute little legs that fold out. So I put one on one TV tray, one on the other TV tray. Doesn't take up a lot of space. I could put them both on the same tray, but since I'm planning on preparing some, growing some different things, I thought I would do it this way. See, this one has a larger top to it than the other. I slide it right into that compartment. When I first decided to do the hydroponic gardening, I thought, how is this going to work? Because I really, truly wasn't sure how it would work for me. Um, but it's a process. And I thought about getting like the Arrow Garden and some of those other brands. And those are really kind of neat and nifty for people that really want to see something like that. They can just pull out the pod and out of the packet. Oh, this says I can grow tomatoes. Plop it in the hole and watch it grow. See, these are the holes where the pods would be placed. But there's a price for the entire contraption to set up, which the Aero Garden comes a bit smaller than the Veg Box designs. I like the Veg Box because they're both a bit larger. The smaller one has 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. The smaller one has 9, and the large one has 12 spaces for pods. In the original set, in the original kit, you get all these little cups that can be used to start your plant. Um, and you get sponges with the little divots in them, which are used for putting in your seeds. And you even get like tweezers so that you put one seed in the sponge for each plant. Um, After you run out of your sponges, then you would need to either purchase more sponges, or I bought some other grow sponge material, which was also available on Amazon. Um, 50 pieces of this was only a few bucks. Goes a lot farther for a lot less price for me personally than what other people may pay with the other products. And I have nothing against using the other products. The other products that are out there are nice and they're convenient and they're really good. Like if someone has more difficulty with handling the seeds and all of that, to get a pot and be able to stick it in and turn on your light and just walk away and just let it grow, that works really well. But for me, I do the whole veg box thing, so I have nutrient A, nutrient B, which together work out to be a kind of a fertilizer. So I take that off. Put a cap full of one in my little hole. Put a cap full of the other. And I'll let that set for a while just so it has some time to blend in the water. I don't do a whole lot of shaking and mixing and all of that. I let it naturally go where it needs to go and blend in the way that it needs to blend. Meanwhile, for now, I can take my little cups and put one in each hole. Again, the reason why I do this way instead of doing the other way where I'm buying the pods that already have the seeds is because I like to be able to choose what I want to grow to eat. And with the shrinkflation, let's call it, where the prices of things are going up and the availability of certain things going down, I like to know that I have what I want to be able to use. I have another tweezer as well. So I buy this brand in particular so that I can do the setup like this. I can do it for both of them. I'll have to nutrient A and B in the other veg box. And I choose what I want to use. And, it's like, how do you know what's the right things to grow indoors? First, you gotta figure out, what do you want? What do you like to eat? Don't just to grow stuff. I mean, you can just to grow stuff. I've seen people do that before. But then when it grows, they're like, oh, that's cute. I don't want it anymore. I'm going to throw it away. But my purpose in growing is because I really do eat the things that I grow. Let that set for a little while. So, being that I have the Veg Box, two of them, I use them with their own little seed cups. Uh, I use my sponge material to be able to have a place to put the seeds. I'll show you, for example, while those are just, while the liquid fertilizer is doing its deal, just spreading throughout the water. One more. Okay, so I have my cup. I have these sponge deals that I can break off, and replacements of these can be also bought on Amazon. But I decided to buy these other grow materials instead, which works very similar, except you wet it and it expands and fits in the cup, and then you put it down in the cup and put the seed right in the middle. So put the sponge in, and then I would fill all the containers that I'm going to use for growing my plant medium. If I'm not going to be using all of these, then I would take some of these cups out to say if I wanted to grow lettuce. I don't want my lettuce growing all bunched up together. So like maybe every other one, I may have one in there, and I would put this little cap over that hole. So then that way I have things spaced out. Because I could do it like that, and then I could have another plant there, and I could take these two out, and I could do the same thing again there if I'm growing lettuce. Which I might grow lettuce, but I think I'm going to grow it in this one because this is the smaller one, and I can just grow a few heads of lettuce in that one. And the plants will really grow all the way up to the top of this, if that is your desire, and if you're, you know, willing to work with that and be tolerant of it growing that tall. It will actually grow that tall. Some of the things that I have grown are basil, um, oregano, sage. Um, Sage gets very viney and long because it grows like weed, and but it'll continue to grow, but it will lean over and it will grow all along here rather than just growing straight up like basil and oregano and other things. You can also grow things like garlic. And I don't know if you've ever tried to grow garlic at home. Let me see if I can get some so I can show you really quick. Be right back. Okay, I'm back. Now suppose you have garlic like this, and you've had it for quite a while and you haven't been doing anything with it, and you go to pull a clove, and you see it's starting to sprout. Crazy as it may sound, you can grow this garlic in here. You can grow chives as well. And this green will grow all the way up. I've grown garlic before, but usually I've done it just with in soil. But I may do some garlic this time because I do like garlic and I do like the smell of it in my home. So put this in there It's so large that you don't even really need the sponge to catch the seed. But as you go and you water it day by day, the roots will come out of the bottom and go down into the liquid medium in the container, and the top will grow, 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 grow. And you can cut that top off and you can eat it. You really can. So it will grow into a whole nother plant. Well, as much as you're able to get in this. And if you're wanting it to grow into something larger like this, then you would have to transplant it into a pot with some soil or something. Now, back to my seeds. I purchased my own seeds. I enjoy doing my gardening this way because then I can grow exactly what I know that I need or I want or I feel like having. Um, it'll take 2 to 3 weeks depending on what you are growing and which seed type you are using. Like this is a mesclun mix of lettuce, so it's like the garden variety lettuce that you go to the little shops and you buy your salad or whatever or in the grocery store. But yes, and this is just a few bucks, but there are about 50, no, maybe closer to 100 seeds in this. Quite a lot of seeds. So it'll last me a long time because I'll only use one seed per container. I got these online. There's also other kind of seed companies that you can look up online, and you might want to get 12, a variety of 12 culinary seeds or 15 herbs like lavender, sage, parsley, mountain mint. Mint, let me tell you right now, I don't care if it's mountain mint, if it's peppermint, if you grow mint, it will grow like wildfire. It'll grow really fast. And once it starts, it needs to be contained in an area. So, like if I was going to grow mint this way, that would be all that I would put in this veg box would be mint. Because once the roots get going, they spread, and then it comes out the top and it's spread. Mint is the kind of thing that, I mean, it has very good properties. It's very good for you to take. I mean, you can, when you pull it, you can either dehydrate it or just hang it upside down with a string and tie it and let it dry out or whatever. Pull the leaves off of it, crumple them up, make a tea with them. Some people have done mint enemas if they're having other issues and wanting to use it like a colonic. And none of this is meant as anything legal or medical. This is just me talking about what I've known and what I've experienced and what might be helpful to you. But mint can be useful in many ways. You can boil it and take the juice off of that and put it in a spray bottle to squirt around. It keeps away squirrels, it keeps away mice, it keeps the little vermin away, and it makes your place smell wonderful. So there are some very, very good things that can happen with the mint. And lavender, as you know, is good for helping you relax, helping people to sleep. The fragrance of it is really wonderful. And there may be many other things that are good with that, you know. So having sage and oregano and fennel and basil. I mean, these are things that I would use in my foods every day. So I appreciate having them. And I get the Cedra brand is one of the brands that I get because it's GMO free. So there's no genetic, gen, genetically modified organisms um, used for that. So I get 15 herbs here, 12 here, and it includes markers and all kinds of other things for if you were to put it into a pot with some soil and you want to continue growing it in your home. But then and this is also a GMO free. You know, I'm big on healthy bodies because what you put in your body makes a difference as to how your body performs. Um, this is a Culinary Herb Collection from the Sustainable Seed Company, also available through Amazon. Um, and this one even includes a guide to telling you how to plant and how to deal with your seeds, how much sunlight they need, and using the veg boxes, you don't have to worry about not getting enough sunlight into your home if you're living in an apartment or condo setting, because the lights will come on and you can either manually turn them on or off, and they're pretty bright when they are on, or you can just plug it in and turn it on, let it do its own rotation, and it will work just like the sun outside. And that's what um, helps your seeds to grow. And you'll get a higher yield with something like this. So, big fan of that. And then I can get all of these seeds. I mean, when I say 15 packets of a variety of seed, each packet of seeds has about 50 to 100 little seeds in there. This is a lot of seeds. This is worth the money that's spent because then I can have what I need, I can put it up and make it last. And being non-GMO makes me very happy. There's also, you know, seed savers. There are seed saver groups out there. If you're living in an urban setting, check on Facebook or to see if there are any seed saver groups that are listed that may be in your area. I do seed saving too, you know, from time to time. A lot of the products that are out there may not be the type where they will continue to yield and grow, um, depending on where you're getting your seeds from. So, but if you have a seed saver group, it's usually some people that already have had some organically grown things like zebra tomatoes. Wow, they're really good. And then once they grow them, they harvest the seeds out of that plant, let them dry out, save them to the side in envelopes or whatnot, and if you have something that they're interested in and they have something you're interested in, you can make that trade, which makes everyone happy, um, and can continue to eat healthy, especially in the winter months. Like I said, it will take usually 3 weeks for these plants to grow to the point that I like for them to be because I want it to grow nice and tall, choppity chop. If I do grow lettuce, I will just maybe grow 3 heads of lettuce in this one. So it'll grow into a nice little head of lettuce, kind of like those that you get in the grocery store packs, you know, like the butter lettuce or different things. It'll grow into smaller heads, and then you can cut, save it in baggies or whatever you want to do if you're planning on eating it fresh. And, or you can, you know, sometimes you can fry it. You could do a variety of things, but this will be lettuce for my salads in the winter. So let me know if you're still here all the way to the end of the video. Have you done any indoor gardening yourself? Have you considered it? How about even those plant hangers that they sell? They sell in some, or they were selling them in some stores. I'm not sure if they're selling them anymore in places like Walgreens and CVS or Rite Aid or Food Lion that people can hang by the window and grow a bunch of tomatoes, have a tomato plant, a bunch of little cherry tomatoes on it, or grow strawberry plants that way. They were selling them in some stores for like a couple of bucks because I guess people just weren't very interested in them. But of course, I was interested, so I did make sure to at least get one for myself. It's a couple of bucks. What's it gonna hurt? So those are some things that can be done by anybody. My neighbor across the hall, she uses her front windowsill. She's made an extended ledge and she's got her plants up on that. And then she has a grow light hanging over the top from the top of her curtain so that it shines down and she grows her fresh herbs that way. And it's nice to be able to come home and see that happening there or the neighbors across the street that do the same thing in their front window. You know, we have to be creative, especially if you're living. I don't have a farm. I don't have a big plot of land, even though there are areas in the community that have community gardens. Those are for warm weather. And when I do my gardening, I'm kind of grown accustomed to being able to do it year round. And I like the convenience of it being right here in my home so that I know that the temperature can be controlled in a way where it's comfortable enough that the plants are happy and that they do their little happy growing right here. But again, if you lasted all the way through this video, tell me what kind of gardening are you doing or what kind of gardening are you interested in doing? Do you plan on doing any kind of gardening at all in your home? Or do you prefer to just go out and get things out of the store? There are some YouTube channels um, that have farms, amazing farms. And I'm sure they're happy and very busy with all the produce and things that they're growing on their farms. But they also have talked about how people can take some seeds that they save and actually grow things indoors. It's a little bit slower of a process if you're trying to grow an orange tree or lemon tree or whatever in your living room. Um, and that way works for some people, but for me, I like having the variety. And yes, I might take a month and just say, oh, I'm just growing XYZ. Let that stuff grow, harvest it, put it away, decide, do I want to start more or do I want to stop now for a month or two or whatever? Do I have enough to take me for any particular period of time? Because I already have, my dried beans and my dried onions and collard greens and that kind of stuff. So I have quite a bit of that stuff as well. But it's nice to have other options at different times. And as I've said before in other videos, I don't like shopping in the winter. I really don't. I like looking at the snow through the window, but I prefer to not have to drag stuff home in it. And I realize not everybody has that option, but if I have an opportunity to grow most of the things that I would want to have that's fresh, I'm going to do that. So then it lessens the amount of stuff that I would have to bring home if I were to go out and shop. So, are you planning on doing any gardening in your home in the winter? If so, tell me about it. Let us know what you're planning on doing or what you're interested in doing. Also, just want to take a moment to acknowledge that in the past few days there have been some really terrible storms and tornadoes in other parts of America. And a number of people have already died based on, from the tornadoes that have happened that kind of went through multiple states. At first I heard it was 50, then I heard maybe 70. We're not sure how many people have lost their lives during the storm. But for those that have not lost their lives, a lot of people have lost their homes and everything that they had. Um, this is why, being prepared is really helpful. Um, we never know what's going to happen, when it's going to happen, where it's going to happen. Tornadoes are things that I normally consider happening in warmer weather, like April, May, June, July, August. I don't consider that as something to happen in December. But this is the time that we live in, and we have um, some people say it's the grand solar minimum, um, and say that things are getting colder, times are getting colder, and other people talk about the sun moving closer to the earth and how crops and things are drying up. Any way you look at it, the world is going through a huge change. And how we live and how we care for our families, we have to adapt what we're doing and try to be prepared for all these things. So having some food put away for yourself is important, and I've mentioned before about, FEMA website and all these websites that say have 3 weeks worth of food. Well, that's enough to take you through if you get sick during a pandemic. But honestly, we're at a point of time where we need to have a bit more stocked up. Suppose everything dried up. Now, we already saw this year, and I've mentioned this before, that only 1/3 of the normal amount of coffee was harvested this year in other countries because of a bacteria um, that was growing in with the seeds, and there's some areas that were so arid and dry that they weren't able to grow anything. um, there's been rumors about um, people being told, farmers being told that they have to like dump their milk, dump different food products. Rumors. um, I don't know what all is true. um, I do know of a farmer that has experienced that, and it was kind of devastating because I used to kind of depend on that farmer for fresh cow milk. Mhm. But there are laws and systems in place because they really don't want anyone drinking the cow's milk unless they are working on that farm to help harvest it, help get it from the cow. And I'm not saying that the farmer is saying that. I'm saying like Food and Drug and the big guys out there, the alphabet soup. Um, so having things stored up is just really important. Have stuff in your home. Find ways to store and stock things in a neat and organized manner so it's not like falling out on you when you open your cupboards, and that you know where everything is, and that stuff is labeled, or if you have a bunch of canned goods, that you are rotating them according to the dates that are on them. If you've got a second freezer in your home or whatever, fantastic. But do realize that if the power goes out from any storm or whatever, you might not want to open that freezer unless you're planning on doing some major eating or giving away. So that's why some things I keep frozen, some things I dehydrate because the dehydrated foods and the dried beans and the canned goods are my fallback for if the things that are in the refrigerator um, potentially could go bad. It's good to have that fallback. And it's also good to have more than one place that you're keeping your stuff. I mean, having stuff in your apartment, fantastic. But if you have extras, I'll do another video on it to talk about storage options for the extras so that things can be put away in a way that no vermin or anything can get to them. It can't get contaminated or whatnot. And if you have a storage space somewhere, that would be a good place to lock those things up in a box or something so people aren't just coming by saying, yeah, they got food over there and taking that. Because in the past week, I received a couple of notices from the police department that there were people standing outside of stores following individuals home, especially women, following them home after, not like after the big TVs and all of that stuff, after their food, following them home to get food. Seeing that they just bought XYZ, all this big stuff, follow them all the way back to their place, watching them take their stuff out, and then they jack them. Yes, carjacking still happy, but people are getting their food taken. As soon as they open that door to get into their place, person comes out of nowhere, busts their way in, and taking as much food as they can, and they bail. So we have to be mindful of where we are, who's around us, or if some stranger's coming up to you, hey, can you tell me the time, or can I use your phone? No. And ladies, if you're out grocery shopping in the dark, nighttime is not the right time to do that because things are so dicey right now and it's just not as safe. And I'm not saying that these things won't happen to men as well, but there's more of a vulnerability with women, and just anything can happen, honestly. So, thank you for joining me. And I keep saying that I'm going to stop this video, so I think I'm going to really stop it this time. Thank you for joining me. Um, I hope that you are doing something to prepare for yourself. I hope that you are looking into ways that you can change your eating habits if you have any kind of health stuff going on so that you can start eating more things that are better for your body, that give you more energy. And we'll talk more about that later as well. Because changing the way I ate made a huge, huge difference in my life and in my health. And although I'm not out biking it in the snow, because I'm just not, sorry, I'm not crazy. I'm not trying to slip and slide and fall in the snow with my electric bike. But although I'm not doing that outside, there are still things that I'm able to do here in my own home um, to keep fitness up, keeping my exercise, keeping my mobility. You want to have a strong mind as well as a strong body and a healthy body. You want your immune system built up because then your body is better able to fight off the things that are happening outside. But until next time, because I keep talking, until next time, thank you for joining me today. And I look forward to talking to you again real soon.